how important to you is amplification when it comes to the creative process within shoegaze and any genre in particular?
I think here's the big disappointment for some people out there. It's not so, let's say it's always important for me what you want to do with it. I'm using amps on a stage or in a practice room. This is where amps belong for me. I don't use amps so much at home because my neighbors would kill me if I would do this. And yeah, I tried, as I said, sometimes I need to buy gear that I want to demonstrate and stuff like that. So I always try to save money, and I also have my studio at home. So I have to care for my neighbors as well. That's the point. But I found something that's really interesting for me, and this is the technology of IRs, of impulse responses. And since I tried it out for myself and also copied my amp, I don't hear the difference. The only difference that it makes is that when I record my amp, for example, I hear what I'm doing in the room. I hear my strumming, I hear my breathing, I hear my talking, I hear everything. But the characteristic of it, of the IR, is exactly the same like the one that my amp has. So it's actually sounding exactly like my amp, just without the noise that I don't want to have on my record in the first place. So I think this is the future. So we are slowly moving to I don't know, a generation that will be used to use maybe virtual reality and stuff like that. And we're just coming from, or we're still living in times of pandemic times, if you want so, where people were stuck at home. So we have to find new ways to make music and to sound like we would like to sound. And I think a digital transition is very welcome then. So if you have the possibility to generate your amp sound that you have on stage actually just at home in a tiny little plug-in that uses IRs, that's amazing. And you could, I don't know, I imagine people at some point wearing VR glasses, playing guitar and having exactly their sound and playing concerts, for the whole world. It would be possible, I guess. It's not looking that great at the moment, but we're not far from that point, I guess. So
We're
the
definitely
technology
closer
is
to
there.
that than
Yeah,
we are to the days of big old Marshall stacks. And
I think so too.
as cool as that era was, I've never really liked just loud, to be completely honest.
Me neither. I also visited concerts of my favorite bands, and sometimes they turned the speaker to 11, I'd say, and nobody was enjoying it. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, I want to go, but this is my favorite band," and the ears were bleeding, and everyone was like, "I hate them at the moment." But sometimes it feels to me a band wants just to be loud and wants to leave out stuff that you suppress during your everyday life. And I don't know, we need that. We definitely need these cultural crowds, these cultural crowded possibilities to let out, I don't know, volume and noise and stuff like that, and sing together, dance together. This is important, but I want to keep my ears. That's definitely something that's
Definitely.
important for me, because I want to enjoy music afterwards. Yeah.
For sure. Like, it's just, maybe it's also because, like, I'm getting older, I'm not sure, but like even my listening habits, sometimes I want to hear something in the hi-fi as great sound as possible. So I have different headphones for producing, for listening to music, for listening to different styles of music. But then I also realize like I can just get my Alexa and just play music.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. Try restarting.
What did she say?
I said Alexa and I started speaking. That was my mistake.
Yeah. And she says, "I can hear you.
Oh
I
my
hear
god.
everything."
Sometimes I'll be saying something and I'll accidentally say Siri and my phone turns on, so it's annoying. But
Oh, whoa, whoa.
exactly, like the way I listen to music now, I sometimes I'm very cautious about having hours and hours and hours of loud sounds going directly into my ear. And it's not that like I don't like loud music. Sometimes I turn music way the fuck up because I want it to be really loud. But then I'm also very conscious of the fact that I played in bands with older head musicians that they're only 10 years older than me, but they came up in an era where they were still lugging their Hot Rod Deluxes to practice, and they were still told that you needed to turn your amp up to like 7 or 8 for that edge of breakup sound, and you really needed to push and push, especially if you're playing like metal or like hard rock. You need to be loud, and it's like they don't have the same hearing anymore. That some of them suffer from tinnitus, some of them get headaches by playing for half an hour, some of them thought it was a good idea to practice at home with loud volumes in a small enclosed area. I don't know any young people that think that way. My younger sister is also into music, and I tell her, like, be very cautious of your ears.
Yeah.
There are so many alternatives today of creating sounds and projection. You don't need to have 3 or 4 different amps and turn them up to a loud volume. Sometimes even like this amp that I have, I turn it up to past 5 and it's just too loud for me. I think we've come so far with technology, and we've also come so far with how we consume and listen to music and how we create music. We should be looking more towards like IR. We should be looking more towards amp simulation, because it's not only healthier, but I personally think that there's more sound possibilities with what we have today.
I think if Kevin Shields is watching, he just stopped the video right here and he's sleeping in and bored. Because
I feel so bad too, because I remember reading all those articles about how MBV is the loudest band that people have ever seen in concert, and that kind of, it's cool, you know, like the rock and roll behind it, it's really, really cool. But at the same time, I can't imagine going to a gig and hearing music that loud. I don't know if I could stick around for it, even though I love My Bloody Valentine, I love Kevin Shields, but it's too loud.
I don't know, maybe I don't know, I'm sensitive or something like that, but turning your music too loud or being the loudest band that ever existed or something like that is a little bit to me like when some guys drive along the street with pimped motors, you know, just to be the loudest ones on the street, and everyone thinks it's annoying, and it's like, oh yeah, you have just small peepees and stuff like that. What are you trying to cover here, you know? I don't know. And this is a little bit like I sometimes feel about My Bloody Valentine too. Many people may not like to hear this, but I don't like My Bloody Valentine because they are so loud or something like that. It's not about the volume or stuff like that. It's because the sound of their record, Loveless, for example, is really interesting. I like their artwork. I like the whole concept of this music, I'd say. But it's never been about being the loudest musician, or you need 10 amps to create shoegaze music. This is actually why I made the channel, because that's the myth. It's so I don't know. It's funny that people still trying to do it that way, but I mean, you can do it. You can spend all your money on that gear. Rent a room for, I don't know, $250 a month, put all your amps inside, be the loudest band in the practice room. But you could also do this, you could also write great music at home on your laptop, if you want so, for example, if you want so, or just on headphones with, let's say, this Helix pedal, HX Stomp or stuff like that. You can create so many good music with that. You just have to know what you're doing. And that's why I'm always excited to teach at some point, to make the way a little bit easier, because nobody told me, unfortunately.